nutritionally, they don't need them beyond 10 months, but socially, the longer you get a kangaroo to eat a bottle, the friendlier kangaroo you are going to have. The kangaroo's not a big fan of a mom, it looks like.
It's the Ram.
Oh, the Ram.
Dodge. That's who he's playing with.
Gosh. Alright, so the kangaroos. When a baby kangaroo is born, it is the size of a jelly bean. It weighs about 2 grams. It crawls on its own up to its mother's pouch and latches onto a teat. It doesn't let go even once for 70 to 90 days. During that whole period of time, mother is making something more similar to colostrum than milk because she is essentially nursing an embryo. They call it a semi-embryonic state up until they release it somewhere between 70 to 90 days. The kangaroo, while it is drinking, it doesn't ever let go of the teat. At about 70 to 90 days, it starts to nurse and release, nurse and release. At that point, the mother shifts over to making milk instead of colostrum. The baby will continue in the pouch. First time it'll stick its face out of the pouch is 6 months of age. First time it'll jump out of the pouch is 7 months of age, almost exactly to the day. From 7 to 8 months, they can stick their faces in the pouch. From 7 to 8 months, they can go in and out of the pouch. And from 8 to 10 months, they can stick their face in the pouch to drink milk from their mother. That all sounds pretty normal. From there, it gets straight up weird. So when the baby is born, size of a jelly bean, crawls on its own to its mother's pouch, latches onto a teat. The female kangaroo continually makes a chemical similar to pitocin, which is what you give to a human female to induce labor. A female kangaroo makes it all the time, unless they are malnourished or dehydrated. It takes about 2 days to build up enough pitocin in their system to induce labor. So when and kangaroos are marsupials. Marsupials almost all have 2 pouches, 2 uteruses. Kangaroos are no exception. After their first baby, they will essentially be pregnant every day of the rest of their life. They do have to be refertilized for every subsequent pregnancy, but they really will essentially be pregnant forever. When the baby is born, size of a jelly bean or lima bean, best way to get them to come to you is to sit down on the floor. When the baby is born, jelly bean size, crawls up, latches onto a teat. The act of nursing makes the mama make a second chemical that blocks the pitocin. So it will not normally birth a second baby if one is nursing. Technically, the mom is pumping milk. The baby's not nursing because it's not even big enough to suckle yet. But mom pumping the milk into the baby makes a second chemical that blocks the pitocin. If the first baby does not make it to the pouch within 2 days, then the mom has built up enough pitocin that fire 2 births from the second uterus. So every time that it births one baby, it gets 2 chances at a baby making it up to become a viable embryo. So suppose that the first one does make it to the pouch, latch onto a teat, puts the blocker on the pitocin. What happens to the second, right? Because it's pregnant in both uteruses. So what happens to the second is embryonic diapause, freeze frame. Does not progress, does not regress, remains exactly the way it is from 90 days until forever. The mother kangaroo that has the baby in the pouch on freeze frame, that baby can stay that way for days, weeks, months, or years, just until the mother is ready to birth another baby. There's 2 things that makes a mother ready to birth another baby. One is if it stops nursing whatever baby it is currently nursing, it takes the blocker away, and 2 days later, births another one. The second thing that will make the mother ready to birth another baby is if it gets literally overweight. Too high a body fat content makes it double up the production of pitocin, bypasses the blocker, births a second baby. So then once there's 2 both nursing, that doubles up the blocker. It cannot possibly bypass a double block, and it cannot possibly birth a third. But with the 2 uterus, and when it births the baby, 2 grams is not a traumatic birth. Mother goes into heat, generally breeds back within a day or 2. So since it's 2 days till it births another one and they're overlapping, it essentially means that in most cases, the kangaroo will be pregnant every day of the rest of its life after its first baby. The kangaroos do not proliferate by being good mothers, they proliferate by being prolific. If a female kangaroo is being chased by a predator and has a baby in the pouch big enough to slow her down, ditch it. Get away, live to have more. If a female kangaroo had a mantra, that mantra would be live to have more, at all costs. So if the mother is malnourished or dehydrated, ditch the baby, live to have more. So kangaroos have a system of drought resistance that they can survive droughts. Normal family group for red kangaroos is 1 male, 50 females. So if you want to be the 1 male, every other male has got to go. And that's the way that they roll. So the 1 male is statistically insignificant to the population number. At the start of the drought, when the drought starts, say they got 1 male, 50 females. If the drought is long and lasts as much as 2 years, maybe only half of them are going to survive. So at the start of the drought, they all throw all of their babies away. Live to have more. So they go in 50 strong. If the drought lasts for a couple of years, maybe 25 come through the drought, right? So who's going to make it? The strong or the weak? Obviously, the strongest half are going to survive. The weakest half are gone. So at the end of the drought, the kangaroos do not, the one exception to they produce Pitocin, you remember I said, is if they're malnourished or dehydrated, they do not produce Pitocin, they will not birth a baby. So during the whole drought, no kangaroo in the group will birth any babies. When the drought is over, a drought in a desert place ordinarily ends with a time of extreme plenty. Heavy rainfall, everything turns lush and green. So as soon as the drought ends, the females all get renourished, rehydrated, they all have a baby. So we've gone 50, 25, 50, right? Very shortly after the end of the drought, they all are overweight with all the lush green food around. So doubles up the production of Pitocin, all birth a second baby. So they've gone 50, 25, 50, 75. So kangaroos come out of a drought stronger by individual and larger in number than they went into a drought. And that is what makes kangaroos absolutely prolific in Australia. So between red kangaroos, which these all are, and eastern greys and western greys, and all other kinds of kangaroos, and all kinds of wallabies, kangaroos outnumber humans at least 3 to 1 in Australia. So again, here we call these exotic animals there, they're varmints and pests. Now in Australia, a male kangaroo is doing well to survive 5 years because they take each other out for breeding rights. But a male kangaroo grows for all of its life. If it is alive, it is growing, like a tortoise. They never stop growing. So in the wild, a male kangaroo's size is limited by lifespan. So generally they'll get to about 140, 150 pounds during their lifetime. In captivity, we don't hunt them, we don't shoot them, we don't run them down with pickup trucks, we don't chase them off cliffs, we don't poison them, we don't let them kill each other. So in captivity, these guys can live 20 years. That means that they get massive. So the world record for a red kangaroo is a kangaroo named Roger. You can read about him on Wikipedia. Roger was 6'7" at the end of his life, and that is standing on the ground, not nose to tail. Nose to tail more than 8.5 feet long. So that means that they didn't say what his weight was. We do have the genetics here to produce record-sized kangaroos. So the males, the father of our father kangaroo, on the day that ours was born, his father was 8 years old, he was 6'2" and 225. The father of all of our female kangaroos just passed not to natural causes. He jumped into a fence and broke a leg. At that point, he was 6'4" and 250. So we have the genetics on both the male and the female side to grow massive kangaroos here. That's part of why we bottle feed them for so doggone long. Most places don't bottle feed their kangaroos at all. That's why most kangaroos aren't friendly. You can't just walk up and pat and touch and hold kangaroos most places like you can here. We feed ours all the way out to 18 months, even though nutritionally they don't need it, just as a social thing, just to make friendly kangaroos. The kangaroos, the reason most people don't feed them longer than that is the milk is prohibitively expensive. It's like 85 bucks a can. We use 5 cans in 2 days. So it is a serious time and financial commitment to having friendly kangaroos. And when we start at 7 months old, they're eating 5 bottles a day. So it's not just the money, it's the time. So it does help a lot. People pay us to bottle feed kangaroos, but still, it's an undertaking. The adult kangaroos, a male, can jump at least 20 feet from a standstill. The lines in these floors are 16 feet apart, so that means you can jump further than Kevin to me in a single jump from a standstill. On subsequent jumps, they can jump nearly twice that. So that means an adult male kangaroo running from that end, going through the barn, can cover this entire barn in 2 jumps. Wikipedia will tell you that the top speed for a male kangaroo is about 45. There are various YouTube videos out there showing that appear to be going 55 because they appear to be keeping up with cars going 55. But you know, there's a lot of tricky photography out there these days, so I can't necessarily say for sure. YouTube sure makes it look like they can do 55. Anyway, you slice it though, it's fast. And I don't usually get into the weeds like this on most of my talks, but I know you're a noob, so talking about energy here, right? Kangaroos are covering 15 and 20 miles a day to have enough food to sustain themselves. Now, when I was hiking the Appalachian Trail with 4 of my sons, for us to cover 12 and 14 miles a day, our caloric intake had to be more than 5,000 calories a day. So if a kangaroo can get nearly my size, that might mean that it might require nearly that amount of calories to make that amount of distance, right? They live in the desert and they eat scrub grass. There's no way they're coming up with 5,000 calories a day, right? So the way that it works, if you look at these kangaroos, you see the long tight band going down the backs of their legs? That is a tendon. And there's another one going along the bottom of the foot. So when the kangaroo comes down, this stretches the tendons. So that's like a spring. So that's making a huge amount of potential energy, you know, stored potential energy. Then when it jumps and goes forward, boing, that spring is closing up. So the force of the spring throws the kangaroo forward. Potential energy converted to kinetic energy. For a human, if you say the effort of walking is 1, then you would say the effort of jogging is about 3 times the effort of walking. The effort of running slowly is about 7 or 8. The effort of Usain Bolt 100-meter dash, we're talking about 15, maybe as much as 20 times the amount of effort involved in walking. So a kangaroo needs to cover 15 or 20 miles a day, right? When a kangaroo is walking, you call them a pentaped. They have, which means 5-footed. So they always go front feet, tail, front, back, tail. So when they're walking, 5-footed. And the tail, please don't step on his tail. When they're walking, the tail provides as much of the motivational force as any of the 4 feet. When they're jumping, they jump only on the back feet, and that's what puts the springs into effect. So as they come down, potential energy, weight, landing, stretches the tendons, makes all this potential energy. When they come forward, they're being thrown forward with the force of the springs. So for a kangaroo, the effort of walking is 1. The effort of slow speed jumping is 1. The effort of medium speed jumping, like what they would do all day, every day, is only about 1.5. The effort of top speed running, 45 miles an hour, is only about 2.5 to 3 times walking because of the springs. And I know that you were in an energy production field, so that probably is of more interest, a natural physical energy production and basically so balance of energy, balance of mass. That is how a kangaroo covers 15 and 20 miles a day on a really, really low calorie budget. So pretty amazing, these guys. Yeah, that is why kangaroos survive in deserts when nothing else does. And then they have a swamp cooler built in. So between what we would call the wrist and what we would call the elbow on the front leg right there, they have a tremendous network of blood vessels just below the skin. So essentially it's a swamp cooler. That is where their mouth can reach and they lick themselves all slobbery. And then as that slobber evaporates off, it cools the blood right below the skin. Swamp cooler. Built in on a kangaroo. So pretty amazing animals, pretty significant design considerations in them. And after you know all that, you know there's still people that believe evolution. Boggles the mind, right? But yeah, kangaroos are pretty amazing animals.
How you can see anything like that?
You know, I've read that there's really no serious science anymore that honestly believes that. Basically, denial of the existence of God. If we are created beings, then the Creator has certain rights over us. And if He has rights to tell us what to do, that means that there naturally would be consequences. So if we choose to deny that we are created beings, deny that there's a Creator, then we can tell ourselves we can live any way we want to. And the reason why the government would be interested in that is the government would prefer that the sense of, the source of ultimate authority is the government, not that the basis of all authority is God. So, it is what it is. They are. They really are. And they're pretty amazing. I've learned so much about kangaroos that I didn't even know existed.
So you have how many babies in your?
Baby kangaroos.
Baby kangaroos, yeah.
There's these 4, and then there's one that has just started sticking its face out of the pouch out there outside. But, say what? Yeah, about 7 months. And I've never pulled one from a mother before, but you have to, right? At 7 months, or you'll never have a friendly kangaroo. And I'm told that mother kangaroos, when you take a baby, don't look left, don't look right, don't follow you, don't wonder where you're going. 2 days later, birth another one.
Really?
Yep.
So she's not even a care that you're going to take?
No. Not interested. They are baby making machines, and they will continue every day of their life, making more and more and more babies.
Wow.
Females, though, have the same lifespan, wild or free. They, aside from droughts, they're not hyper-aggressive to each other the way males are.
Gossip.
Right.
Yeah. All 50 sharing the same man.
Hey, can you pick up a kangaroo and just like hold it next to your face and be like, hey, I'm John, let's meet that kangaroo.
Hey y'all, I'm John, and this is Max. I forgot Max's name for a second. This is Max. This is one of many kangaroos we have out at the farm. Come on out and I'll teach you guys about kangaroos. There's more to know about these than you might think.
All right, do it one more time. Ready?
All right.
And go.
Hey y'all, I'm John. We're here at Aquilia Riverside Farm, and this is Max. Max is one of our baby kangaroos. You can come out here and bottle feed these, and we teach you an awful lot about kangaroos that you might not have known was even possible to learn. Come out and see us sometime.
Perfect. Thank you.
We will get out of y'all's hair. Is there a place out here we can sit and eat a lunch, isn't there?
Right there.
Okay.
Yeah, pavilion right there.
Okay.
You guys have other things this afternoon?
No.